This is the story of how Canadian Tire money became stronger than the Canadian dollar. Bills, which value was only a matter of cents, are now worth tens of dollars. So how did this happen? Canadian Tire was founded in 1922, but it wasn't until 1927 that the Canadian Tire Corporation was officially incorporated. At this time, it sold mostly tires and automotive parts, not the wide array of items it sells today. It wasn't until after World War II in 1946 that the store started selling camping and outdoor gear, which was a great success. The auto industry was booming and most families owned cars and wanted to do weekend getaways and camping trips. And where are they going to buy all their camping supplies from? Well, Canadian Tire. So this really further established Canadian Tire as a big brand. In 1958, Canadian Tire launched its Canadian Tire Money, which was only available at its gas bars at first, but because it was so popular, by 1961 it extended to its retail stores as well. They even used the British American Banknote Company to make the bills, the same company that printed official Canadian banknotes. The retail stores featured the character Sandy McTire on their bills, who was meant to represent the blue-collar Canadian of the 1950s. And from that point onwards, Canadian Tire money has been ingrained in Canadian culture. Another thing Canadian Tire is well known for is their catalogs, which they first started in 1928. Though the cover art from the 40s, 50s, and 60s is pretty funny. I mean, look at this guy's face. A lot of them are bear themed, as you can see. That relatable moment when a snowman steals your girl. You know, this meme's been going on since the 60s. That's the kind of fun covers they had on their catalogs, and this is kind of what you see now. I think Canadian Tire needs to go back to their old catalog covers, you know? Make them so they're like hand-drawn. That would be so cool. Hand-drawn catalogs that have a little joke on them. That would be so funny. So this is my Canadian Tire money collection that I've had for about 5 years now. I haven't really done anything with it in a long time, so it was actually kind of fun to go through it again and look and see what I actually got, because I kind of forgot the stuff that I owned. I had a lot of it stored away in a binder that I hadn't looked at in a long time. Some of the oldest Canadian Tire money I have is from the 80s, or around that time, because not all of them have dates on them, so it's kind of hard to tell. And some of these are made by the British American Banknote Company, and some are made by the Canadian Banknote Company. Canadian Tire flip-flopped between the two quite a bit. In 1992, they used the Canadian Banknote Company, but then in 1996, it was the British American Banknote Company again, and then it went back to the Canadian Banknote Company, so it changed around a lot. In 2003, Canadian Tire started the Canadian Tire Bank, a real bank that used real money. But that wouldn't be the only time the line between Canadian money and Canadian Tire money was blurred. In 2004, a CIBC ATM dispensed Canadian Tire money instead of real Canadian money to several customers. In the 2009 Trailer Park Boys movie, Canadian Tire money was referenced when Mr. Leahy offers $700 in Canadian Tire money to Julian for his trailer.
I've had it appraised, a generous appraisal for $1,200. Julian, I'm willing to offer you $1,400 and $700 Canadian Tire money, and a chance for a new life in my new park.
Which in today's economy is not a bad deal, considering how Canadian Tire money can be costing more than 4 times its face value on sites like eBay. In 2022, 95 $100 Canadian Tire bills were hidden across 19 cities in Canada to celebrate the 100th birthday of Canadian Tire. And if you were lucky enough to find one, oh boy, you hit the jackpot. Basically Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but with Canadian Tire money. They are currently listed for over $1,000 on eBay, and people have actually paid that price too. You know, it's not just like, oh, some eBay seller listing something for an extreme price. One has sold for $2,000 and another has sold for around $1,000. So if you have one of these, don't spend it at Canadian Tire. Save it or sell it on eBay for 10 times its value. As someone who's a bit of a Canadian Tire fanatic, I would love to buy one of those. It is like $2,000 though, you know, that's like a car. That's like a cheap car. I'm trying to save up for a Toyota Tacoma, so you know. So other rare Canadian Tire bills are ones with this creepy tire thing on them. This little guy here, that character, you know, looks a little bit interesting. These were issued in the 1960s and came in a wide variety of denominations, including 4 cents, 35 cents, 45 cents. If you happen to have some of these in your collection, you've made some good money, you know? The 4-cent note has been selling for almost $150. So if you have one of those in your collection, send it to me and I'll keep it safe for you. Of course, being eBay, there are some prices out there that are a complete joke. That is why, for my examples, I'm showing sold items. So somebody has actually paid that amount for that bill. This 25-cent note is being sold for $3,000, which is just not a good deal at all, because you can buy the entire set of the 75th anniversary bills for like $23, which is still like 12 times the face value of the bills. There we go, you're looking at $6,000. No, I'm joking. If only they were worth that much, that'd be amazing. This is my stack of 75th anniversary notes. I have quite a few of them. Most of them aren't in very good condition though, so they're not worth that much. I mean, I wish the Canadian Tire $1 bill sold for $350. Like, that would be in my best interest for that to be a thing, but they don't. They sell for like $5 to $10 each, which is still pretty good for a $1 bill you can only spend at Canadian Tire. There's even a Canadian Tire Collectors Club that meets up regularly and has lots of info on bills' serial numbers, as well as rare bills and what to look out for. So if you have like a fat stack of Canadian Tire money sitting under your mattress, I'd check them out. Like, maybe you have something valuable. And they've been thorough. They've put together an over 200-page document with all the serial numbers, notes released, different issues, the amount that was minted, just every possible piece of information you could ever need to know about Canadian Tire money. So it would take a while to look through and check all your bills, but with the rate some of these are selling for, it might be worth your time. So I just spent about over an hour looking through all the notes I had and seeing if I had any rare serial numbers. I think I might have found one, I'm not entirely sure. This bill has the prefix 0504, which is like similar to the one they have on their website as an example. They say notes with 05 prefix are hard to find, and they show a note that looks very similar to the one I have. Looking through my collection, I found all of these have the 05 prefix in them. Like, that's quite a lot. It's like almost 50 bills here. But I think they have to be a specific type that also have the 05 on them for them to be something rare. Because like this, they can't be rare if I just looked through my collection and just found like 50 of them. Canadian Tire money has been said to be Canada's other national currency. A pub in Calgary said it would accept Canadian Tire money as payment for beer, whereas a liquor store in Edmonton that also accepted Canadian Tire money for payment was taking in as much as $200 of Canadian Tire money each day. One man saved up his Canadian Tire money for 15 years, totaling over $1,000, and bought a ride-on lawnmower.
It's the sweet ride Brian McPherson has been dreaming of for more than half his life. And not just idle dreaming, but saving, collecting Canadian Tire money since junior high.
Basically 15 years. I mean, since I was 14 years old and had that first 10 cents.
That was after the Edmontonian bought a hockey stick and vowed then to keep saving Canadian Tire money, to buy the most expensive thing in the store, a lawn tractor.
Canadian Tire money was only redeemable in Eastern Canada locations until 1995, when it became nationwide. Which is, thank goodness, as someone who lives in the western part of Canada in BC, I could have missed out on all the fun, so I'm glad they included all of Canada eventually. I have a lot of memories of having Canadian Tire money when I was younger. It was a perfect combination of play money that still had real world value. And it seems that people from other countries were wanting to get in on the fun too. A German man was caught with $11 million of counterfeit Canadian Tire money. He was planning on traveling to Canada and redeeming it, which would have been nuts if he had gotten away with it. The store would probably get suspicious quite quickly if you just kept on going there and spending like thousands of dollars in Canadian Tire money. They're like, wait a second, this guy was here last week and he spent like $10,000 in Canadian Tire money. Now he's doing it again? In 2018, Canadian Tire adopted its Triangle Rewards program, allowing people to earn digital Canadian Tire money, resulting in stores no longer giving out paper Canadian Tire money and some stores not even accepting it as payment. which is sad when you think about it, a huge end of an era kind of thing. However, this has helped paper Canadian Tire money become highly sought after and collectible, with people trying to get their hands on bricks of sealed Canadian Tire money, which are selling for hundreds of dollars. Probably my most favorite thing in my collection is this brick of 5-cent bills. Apparently there's about 500 in here, so that would make this worth $25 face value. But I have seen these listed for over 250. Currently on eBay, there's loads of listings of people selling notes from these bricks. They'll sell like maybe 5 or 6 of them in sequential order for about $5. So you can make quite a bit of money off of these if you sell it individually as well. So if you think about it, like, what's that? Of course, if they're each $1 and there's 500 of them, that's $500. Why did that take me so long to calculate? Anyways, so there's some listings that people have bought of 5 notes in sequential order for $5. There's some where you get 10, so $250. So you can make $250 to $500 off of one of these bricks. I don't want to break mine open though, because I like how it's just a sealed chunk of Canadian Tire money, which I just think is kind of cool. I was lucky enough to get my hands on this brick of 5-cent bills before everything went crazy. I paid $80 for it at the time. I'm into coin and bill collecting, and the most valuable thing in my collection isn't my Canadian money, but my Canadian Tire money, which is so weird. So in these turbulent times, if I don't have faith in the Canadian dollar, at least I can have faith in the Canadian Tire dollar. We'll see in like 2 years' time if Canadian Tire money is still super valuable or if it's just like fallen off a cliff, and then this video means nothing. This is not financial advice, I'm just passionate about Canadian Tire money. But if you do have any of those valuable ones, like, send them my way.